All right, Keneene, we are live. Welcome, 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 welcome to Tea Talks. It's just talking to you already in the green room. You know, you're just so inspiring. And so, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience? And I know it's like a 20-second delay between us and LinkedIn and the social media, but they're they'll catch up when they get on.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. My name's Keneene Lewis. I am a 44-year-old single mom or divorced mom of one college age, about to be 21-year-old daughter.
21.
And
Wow.
right, girl, in 6 weeks, 6 days, she will be 21, which is like blowing my mind. Um, I am the outreach support services coordinator with Living Beyond Breast Cancer. I
Mhm.
am the director of partnership with For the Breast of Us, as well as a Baddie Ambassador, and I'm the community alliance coordinator with Tiger Lily.
Wow, you are busy. You are busy. And that's really fascinating to me because we talked a little bit before we got on here about your journey, about your breast cancer journey, and this is so inspirational. And I love tea talks, and I love what people like yourself do because when you get a cancer diagnosis, of course, we still feel like it's a death sentence, even though
Mhm.
there's been so many breakthroughs and stuff. But I think for the initial shock, it's like you start to plan your funeral no matter what you say. You start to think about
Yeah.
your loved ones, etc. But then, and when you first get diagnosed, you don't really hear the good stories of people who are okay. We're now, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, some people 15, 20 years out.
Yes.
And so when I bring people on the show or when I talk to people who are survivors and thrivers, not saying it's easy, okay? We all know that. But
Yes.
you're doing so much. And so I'm going to take you back, of course,
Mhm.
to that phone call, the dreaded phone call that said, you have cancer. And then take us from there.
So I actually found my own lump.
Mhm.
I was getting ready for a holiday party and just happened to graze my hand past it. I always done breast exams and I felt it and I immediately thought in my spirit that's cancer. But I was like, get ready for this party. Go ahead and go. I went to the party Monday. I made an appointment with my OBGYN and went in and I told her I felt this lump and I was like, I think it's cancer. And so she felt it. Then she was like, how about you go downstairs and go to the imaging center? Long story short, I ended up spending the entire day from 8:30 in the morning to 4 p.m. going from office to office so people can feel my breast, feel the lump, look at the scans, take x-rays, take blood. And they had an appointment scheduled automatically for me to come back in January, like a week later.
Mhm.
Excuse me. And that's when it was confirmed by the breast surgeon. And I had already told her before she started talking, I said, look, I'm a very straight to the point. Don't beat around the bush with me. Just give it to me. She was like,
Mhm.
okay, you have breast cancer. She said, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. And then she said, then I'm going to hand you a notepad and a pen, and we're going to come up with a plan. And so I cried for like a couple of minutes,
Mhm.
wrote down our plan of attack, and what she was like, we're going to have some more tests. I'm going to do some biopsies. I'm going to have you have an MRI biopsy, just to make sure it's not anywhere else. And then we'll go from there. Well, in that 2 week time frame of them doing tests, my cancer grew from stage 2 to stage 3, and they were like, okay, we need to hurry up and get it out. It's only in the one spot. And so within a week I had my lumpectomy.
Mhm.
um and and then after the lumpectomy, they called me back in for pathology results to let me know that it was indeed stage 3. And it had went out of the 5 lymph nodes that they took, it went into one. And
Okay.
so they were saying, but we can tell that your cancer is extremely aggressive. So we're going to do chemo, we're going to do radiation, and you will go on a hormonal therapy pill. I did chemo from for about 9 months, 8.5 months. And I did radiation for 2.5 months. And then I've been on tamoxifen since October 30th of 2019. So that is most of my journey, not counting the side effects and the other diagnoses I have received since then, from neuropathy, lymphedema, insomnia. I have everything.
Yet here you are,
Amen.
advocate, and
Amen.
here you are here, you're survived it. You're not saying it's a pleasant journey. We talked about the side effects of tamoxifen, the hot flashes, and of course,
Mhm.
it's and all the other stuff, and you have all the other stuff. But here you are advocating for others, wearing multiple hats. And so I really applaud you and salute you. So tell me about your work. Uh, uh, about your work with Living Beyond Breast Cancer.
Sure. So I'm so sorry. My voice is getting
Do you want to
scratchy.
get some water?
I have water right here. Let me take a
You
sip.
can, you can drink it. Yep. Peter says, Peter's my art scientist. He says, astonishing how fast your diagnosis and surgery went, and how fortunate because your cancer was so aggressive.
Yes, yes. And I had
And
an
even though
awesome team.
it was an ER
ER,
positive,
it was stage 3 estrogen progesterone positive, HER2 negative.
but
My
still aggressive.
Still
Yeah.
very aggressive. I When they did BRCA testing, I did not have the gene, even though my paternal grandmother passed away from metastatic breast cancer when I was born. She was the exact same age I was when I got diagnosed, but she died at the age that I am right now. So,
Right.
yeah. So, but I'm here. I'm kicking, and I found For the Breast of Us, a organization for women of color, and I became a Baddie Ambassador for their organization to speak about it and share the news so that more and more people can learn about the organization, especially during those COVID early times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, we were very prominent on YouTube, on IG Live, Facebook Live, things like that. And one of the co-founders told me that Living Beyond Breast Cancer had an opening for outreach support services coordinator. And she's like, you've been saying you want to leave higher ed and get into the breast cancer community. This would be a great way for you to do that. Because I was working in higher ed for the last 12, 13 years prior to that. And so I applied and I got the position. And so, as the support services coordinator for all outreach programs, I'm over the financial assistance grant, which is our LBBC fund, which we've been successful and thankfully able to have it every month consistently since I've been there, almost 3 years, where we provide women and men affected by breast cancer with financial assistance. We
Mm-hmm.
also have our breast cancer helpline program where we provide peer-to-peer match, where a person like myself or anyone can speak to someone who may be a little further in the journey, or just pick their brain about their experience so that you know what to ask. Because until you're thrusted into this world, you have no idea what to even think of, ask, consider. And so our helpline volunteers, we have a host of volunteers from stage 0 to stage 4, who are there for callers wherever they are, meeting them where they are and having a conversation with them. And then our other program is our parenting program, which is called Reading for Reassurance, where we provide 2 free books to parents affected by breast cancer, age appropriate books, so that they can have conversations with their children about
Mm-hmm.
what they're going through. And I think that that's a very necessary program, being that I'm a at that time my daughter was 15,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know how to and what to tell her, what not to tell her, what to show her, what not. I'm a very direct person, so she
Mm-hmm.
knows her mother. I just told her directly, this is what it is and this is what the plan is, and we just, stay prayed up and moving along on the journey. But Living Beyond Breast Cancer has amazing programs, as well as webinars, events, conferences, things like that, that people can get more involved in and also get more connected within the breast cancer community.
That's awesome. You know what you said about the children. I remember. I mean, my kids were grown when I was diagnosed, so I could tell them straight. But I had a granddaughter. She was
Hmm.
6, and I just didn't know how to say it to her. And then one day, I never said anything to her. One day, she says, "Grandma, do you have breast cancer?" And I almost passed out. But so I had that, the challenging conversation. So we never think about these things. So I'm glad that resource is available. And you talk about the health disparities and biases that you've seen, as it relates to Black women. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, we know the statistics that, Black women, have a higher mortality rate, especially with certain types of breast cancer. We know that part of it is social determinants of health. We maybe there's some genetic stuff we don't know. I was going to ask you, did they do an onca test on you when they?
I did not have an uncle test.
Oh,
But that's another thing that I now speak about, because I believe I had an awesome team.
yeah.
Let me start off by saying I had an amazing team, and they were very forthcoming about everything.
Hmm.
However, there to me, in which I've talked with them since, there were gaps in
Mm,
my care that I noticed that other women, specifically Caucasian women, were getting that I wasn't getting. So, like the uncle type score,
okay.
getting told about clinical trials. The fact
Mm,
that I wasn't even informed that there are clinical trials that I may have qualified for at that time, it was never discussed with me.
right.
And if anything that I've learned from this whole journey, this whole experience, is give me all of the meat and potatoes and let me decide which ones I want to put on my plate. Do
I
not
agree.
determine that for me. Let me determine that. So clinical trials, we find that women of color, specifically Black and brown women, are being left out of that conversation a lot. I know that
Hmm.
Touch is an organization that is really steadfast about making sure that women, Black and brown women, are being included in those conversations about clinical trials. And I know
Yes.
Tiger Lily also has a very big message about clinical trials and trying to get Black women into that. The other thing that I feel that there are disparities about, which I dealt with personally, there was a tech when I was getting radiation who didn't give me a cream that the radiation oncologist told him to give to me at the beginning of my experience. He said the reason why he didn't give it to me is because Black women don't feel pain.
Oh my gosh.
And he said this to the only Black person on my whole entire cancer team. And he said this to her, like emphatically said this to her. Mind you, I was completely open. My boob was completely open to the white meat. And she said, "Why didn't you give Miss Lewis the cream?" He said, "Well, Black women don't feel pain." I felt she was all right. And either way, she told him to give me that cream before I even started my first radiation treatment, and I technically paid for it with my insurance with my care. So why didn't you give me the cream? So she ended up letting him go right there on the spot, which I applaud her for that, because
That's good.
I told her, I said, if he was doing that to me, imagine the woman who doesn't speak English. Imagine the woman whose culture told her not to question a medical professional. Imagine the woman who does not have that voice, who was never given a place to have a voice, to ask someone or to question someone. So I was thankful that she did that. I got the cream within the next day. My wound was almost closed. Silvadene.
Wow.
Silvadene cream is amazing with the specks of nickel in there. But that's another example of, you know, and I'm here in Atlanta,
Yeah,
of
which
things
is
happening.
predominantly Black. Yeah. I
In
mean, a lot
certain
of,
areas, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, and so it's that. It's also mental health care. I told my cancer team, I said, I think I did great. I said, however, you do not specialize in mental health. The moment you knew you were about to come in there and talk to me and tell me I had breast cancer, a mental health professional should be walking in right with you to help to support me and gather me up mentally to deal with
Hmm.
what I'm going through. So since no one placed an emphasis on mental health care, I was just focused on the medicine. So that's what I was focused on for that whole time. The moment that I rang the bell, I realized that I was in severe depression
Oh
because I
wow.
wasn't dealing with the mental health component, because
Right.
I was just like, fight, stay alive, fight, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, be here for your daughter, you know. And so thankfully I recognized the symptoms, got a therapist, you know, and found support groups so that I can talk to other women. But I feel like that should be part of the care from the beginning. It should be that, it should be nutrition and dietitians in there with us. It should be you know, just well-rounded, covering, you know, everybody coming together to make this person the best potential human body being, mentally, physically aware person to move through this journey and experience. And I think if the mind is connected with the body and we're all working to get me through, then I'm going to be
Yeah.
successful. But
Yes.
I mean, they can't do everything, but this is like when they ask me, what did I feel was missing? This is what I told them, you know, the mental health component. And it's so important. Like he said, survivorship is so important. Cancer doesn't end when the treatment is over. I'm still in therapy. There is not a woman that I know that is in survivorship, whether year 1 or
Hmm.
year 20, that does not have a therapist, that does not have support groups. And I feel that survivorship is once you get like, you get to the ledge and they push you off and you're just free falling, reaching for whatever branch, rock that you can reach to survive and thrive through this, because I consider myself a thriver. I'm
Hmm.
definitely not a survivor. Yes, I survived beating the cancer, but I am thriving through the rest of this thing because it's affecting my life in every which way. I had to file for bankruptcy after all of this. It completely wiped me out. Um, and that still has residual effects in my life. You
Right.
know, I lost a relationship with cancer. He got cancer and I got cancer, and we weren't able to come back
Wow.
together. Like
Wow.
it has residual effects. And I feel like a lot of times, you know, you're so covered through your whole journey, and then you get to survivorship and it's just like, up, there you go, figure it out, do the best you can. And that to me is another gap that is left in there, in that part of the journey, because there's technically no more medicine to do
Right.
unless you're on hormonal therapy, immunotherapy, targeted therapy, something like that. But
Hmm.
it is definitely needed. It is definitely necessary to continue to care for the patients. Like there should be a whole nother department strictly
Yes.
specializing in survivorship and
Yes.
meeting the needs of those people. But I know women as young as 13 who found their lump. I have a
Oh.
young lady that I interviewed. I do this series called Baddie Times Two with For the Breast of Us. And I interviewed a young woman in Chicago named Shiana. And Shiana found her lump when she was like 13, and she was ignored, 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 ignored until she got to college at 24. And she said, I still have this lump. I've been telling people about it for years. And they tell me I'm too young, I'm this, I'm that. By the time they finally checked her, she was stage 4.
Oh,
By the
wow.
grace of God, Shiana has been thriving, you know, 15 plus years at stage 4. But that baby should have been caught way back then. There's another
Right.
sweetheart that I met. She had triple negative breast cancer twice. Ariana, who was diagnosed at 16 and then
Wow.
again at 19. Like, that's another thing. And I had to fight. I was 39. I had to fight to get seen and get checked and get scans because they said I wasn't the age, I was too
Right.
young to have cancer. Stop telling people that when we know that people are dying at younger ages. We have to
Hmm.
change that number. We have to move that number back. Trust that people know their bodies and they know that something is wrong when they bring that 13-year-old child in Chicago should have got seen, heard, and checked right then and there. She probably was stage 0 at that point. But
Right.
because she was ignored for 10 plus years, that baby is stage 4. And being a 20-year-old stage 4 metastatic and having brain mets and it's, you know, in her bones and all this stuff, that's like, that should not be her life. But if you
Mhm.
meet her, Shiana is absolutely amazing, has the biggest heart, biggest spirit, but she should not be in that situation if someone would have listened to her. So the age thing needs to stop,
Yes.
especially with black and brown women, being that we're affected, we're more frequently, and we're dying at a higher rate, you know.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
yes, I'm very passionate about advocacy.
Well, like you said, you're seeing it. You're seeing people being diagnosed very early, and you're seeing just rules, or whether it's insurance rules or whatever rules are, that's saying no, no, you shouldn't have this now. It's costly or whatever it may be, and people are dying, and there's enough data out there to show it. So,
Mhm.
it's really. I mean, the stories that you just told about that 13-year-old, it's very disheartening.
Yeah.
And something you said, Keneene, you said when you rang the bell,
Mhm.
the depression started. And I remember I had a pretty good experience with my care team as well. And I don't know, you said you were given a particular cream.
Silvadene, for the radiation, should I have any burns. And
Right.
and I didn't burn until, like, the last, couple of sessions. I say the last 5 sessions, that's when it, like, opened up. This whole side was open all the way down, my entire boob was out. But
Wow.
but if the gentleman would have given me the Silvadene cream, I'm talking about the moment that she had the nurse, I had been up for 3 days straight in pain because I had care on Friday and I wasn't going to see her again till Monday. And so when I got in there on Monday, I was like, no, I'm not getting care. I want to cancel my treatment. I want to stop because I'm in so much pain. I haven't slept. I'm hurting. And so when she said, "Well, are you using the cream, Kaneen?" And I said, I just started bawling. I'm like, "What cream? What cream are you talking about?" And that's when she asked him, and that's when he said, Black women don't feel pain." And so then she asked a nurse to come in. The nurse, I'm talking about almost within seconds of her putting the cream, I just laid back on that hard, cold metal table and I fell asleep. She let me sleep there for the time that I would have been there normally for my session to sleep because immediate relief, immediate
Mm,
relief. And that cream should been given to me when she told him to give it to me. Like when they brought me in, they put my tattoos, so they know where to line me up to do my
right.
scans. That's when I should have been given the cream, and that's when she told him to give me the cream. But then
It's
I think about the Latino woman who sat in the back with me who was getting radiation on her pelvic area. It was a Jamaican woman who was in there who was getting on her brain. And I'm like, neither one of them spoke fluently English. So I'm like, he's probably not giving them the cream either or taking care of them either. So that's how come I knew I had to say something. I
right.
had to tell her, like, what's happening to us is not okay. And I'm not going to stand for it. And so luckily, by her getting rid of him, but I'm like, he probably just went to another facility and is now doing that to somebody else. If I
That's
remember his name or find it on a piece of paper, I'm going to go put it on Google. Like, do not, do not let him
that's sad.
give your care. And I
That is
believe
so
in
sad.
giving those reviews, good and bad,
Yeah,
you know.
that is so sad. I went through a good healthcare system in North Carolina, and they, from the very beginning, before I even started radiation, they said, we're going to give it Aquaphor, right? And every time
Oh,
you go
yes.
home, make sure as soon as you get home, you put it on. But
Yep.
don't put it on before you get here because we can't have it before. You got to have.
Uh-huh.
So I had no issues at all. And it's just, I talk about my journey a lot, at some of these conferences that we do at Total Health. And I talk about how my journey should be the standard of care because I
Oh,
was also given integrative oncology. And one of the things they told me was like, look, the minute treatment finishes, you're going to feel depressed.
ah,
She said, that's when we have to see people now on the therapy side
yep.
because while treatment is going on, you feel like you're getting radiation, you're getting chemotherapy, you're getting medicine, so the cancer is not here. The
Mhm.
minute it ends is when you feel like, is it coming back? Where is it? What's going on?
Yeah,
And so you need that mental, like you said, you need that mental switch. And I think more and more doctors should definitely have that integrative piece from the
for
get-go. Like you
sure,
said,
for
here's
sure.
the bad news, but here's
Yeah,
integrated medicine
here's
over
the
here.
whole
This
team.
whole
All of
thing.
us are here. It's the mental health. Here's a
Yes,
dietitian. I'm here as a
yes,
surgeon. I'm here as a chemo oncologist. I'm here as this person. Everybody come in there, and I that would tell me you are completely covered every which way that you could be, because there were conversations that I was having, there's thoughts that go through your head that you cannot have with your family. I learned that the
Right,
hard way
right,
by
right,
saying the
right.
things that I was thinking and all of that to my mom, to my cousins, to my sisters, and it was devastating to them, but those were the thoughts that I had.
Yeah,
And I, at that time, while I was going through treatment, support groups was not for me
right.
because I couldn't take on nobody else's thing at that
I
moment. So if I would have
absolutely.
had my own integrative care, like you said, a
Yes,
mental health professional that was assigned to me from the moment on, that would have helped me because I could have talked to her about this. And then she could have
exactly.
relayed that to my team, like, hey, Keneene's been thinking this or feeling this. We may want to talk to her about blah, 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 or,
Yes.
whatever the case may be. But yeah, my mom and them heard a whole bunch of stuff that they didn't want to hear. But luckily I got a therapist and I share all of those thoughts with her. And I don't, because you spend your time after you burden them with the thoughts that you have, you spend your time trying to soften the blow of the information you just gave them because you don't want them to be sad or worried about
Right,
what you just
right,
told them. So,
right.
what type of long-term surveillance do you have for your cancer, and how do you handle anxiety? Anxiety, I have a Peloton. I get on my Peloton now. I have my therapist, and she's giving me some coping skills. Like, I get up and I go for a walk because I work from home. So I get up and I'll go for a walk. I'll turn on music and I dance. Um, or most of the time, I probably just need to sleep because I have
Mhm,
insomnia. I don't sleep well, so that usually helps me. Long-term surveillance. So I see the team now twice a year. I only
mhm,
get scans once a year.
mhm,
But I see my team twice a year unless I need to. And then I see um, my physical therapist for the lymphedema. I see her regularly. The neuropathy is calming down some, but I take medicine for that. I take medicine for the insomnia. I take tamoxifen to keep the cancer at bay. So that is basically the surveillance that is occurring at this time.
and you told me that they said that you may be on a tamoxifen for 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, they're gonna check back. So I'll be 4 years, October 30th of this year,
Mhm,
God willing. And so they're going to check and see, how is things going. I had a partial hysterectomy before I got cancer.
mhm,
So should we take out the ovaries? Right now, my ovaries are asleep.
right,
So we have those talks every time I go back to
mhm,
my appointments to see what we're going to do and how long they think I should stay on tamoxifen or not. But so
right,
far, I mean, yes, I have side effects, but I'm good. I'm
yeah,
good. Mhm.
yeah. I think a big part of you being good is your mental attitude. I
Mhm.
mean, I swear, heard it from doctors, and I believe it's true.
Oh yeah, mind over matter is everything.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you don't have the days that you have to talk to that therapist.
Oh,
It doesn't
nope.
mean
Feel those feelings. Go through
Yep,
those feelings.
yep, yep, but
Mhm.
it's more positive days than not. Peter's wife was also diagnosed right around the same time I was.
Oh yeah.
Side effects of radiotherapy are so different. My wife had a good degree of pain and swelling for some time
I have
afterwards.
the swelling. This
Swelling.
boob is constantly bigger than the other one.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
have random pains, and I
yeah,
sometimes have like a steady heaviness, which I learned was the lymphedema, which also with my arm. So I usually have a sleeve on, but because I was on the podcast, I took my sleeve off. But I just feel all of that pressure, all of the throbbing and things like that. Like, I know if I'm doing too much with
yeah.
this side of my body, I usually feel it for like the rest of the day. And
Mhm.
then on top of the swelling, like, that means different bras, and
Yes,
different size, even though this one is smaller, but I also
yes,
there's a company called Cakes that gave us like Fubies that you can put in so that it could balance out, so it's not lopsided or anything like that, because also it's about the
yeah,
physical about yourself and how you see yourself, how you show up. I no longer
yes,
show up how I used to show up. I had a whole whole curly afro before cancer, and I will be bald the rest of my life. My hair doesn't fully grow consecutively over my head. So in the summer, I'm bald. In the winter, I rock wigs. But that was an adjustment for me. Me being pudgier, as I say, or fluffier is an adjustment for me because I was smaller. I was way smaller. I put on a lot of weight. And then I also know because of the tamoxifen, because of the insomnia, because of lymphedema, the things that I have to take for those also side effect is weight gain.
Mhm.
So hence why I got the Peloton so that
Yeah.
I can try to do something to try to keep my body active. Luckily, I've been maintaining at the same weight, same
Mhm.
size, with no issues. How has advocacy work helped your spirit? Oh my God. Advocacy is another therapy for me. Um, Hearing other people's story, like you sharing about your story, Peter sharing about his wife, and what I do on a daily basis helps me so much because I am a natural nurturer. They call me a
Mhm.
mama bird in my friend group. And so to hear someone and be a listening ear to them, but also to give them resources, give them information, give them encouragement. I share, as they say, my gems with people all the time. I encourage people to find the small wins in their
Yeah.
day all the time. Like today might have sucked. I may have
Mhm.
only had the energy to move from my bed to the couch, but what was the
Mhm.
small win in that? Oh, I got to get some ice cream. That was my
Right.
small win, or
Right.
tomorrow it's sunny and I got to go out and get some fresh air and I went for a run, whatever
Mhm.
it is. But advocacy for me is everything because I want our children and their children to have a different experience. I would rather them not have any cancer, but if God forbid they have to go through this situation, it is better than it was for me. And I definitely am a testament to my situation was better than what my paternal grandmother had. My
Right.
dad and I talk about what my grandmother went through. Um, Half of the things that I have at my disposal, she did not have. She wasn't
Right.
seen, she was not considered for many things as a Black woman. And she was an educated Black woman and still wasn't. And so I just hope that by me speaking up, by me sharing resources, by me connecting people with other people so that we can continue to serve the community as a whole, I
Mhm.
I believe that that's my journey. I told myself and I prayed to God, can I flip cancer on his butt and make it work for me? And I believe that I'm doing that on a
Good
daily
for you.
basis.
Good for you. I want to ask you two more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. How how has faith helped you on this journey?
Oh my gosh. God. So I'm originally from Michigan. We moved
Mhm.
here and literally a month before I found my lump, I found out about this church. And this lady was like, "You should come. Your daughter sings. They're having a children's program, blah, blah, blah." So we come to the church. My daughter sings. We stay for the service. And I just told my daughter, I said, "I feel like I'm at home here. I felt like I'm at home." And I said, "Do you think you want to join? If I want to join, do you want to join?" My daughter's like, "Yeah, I love it here. It's small. It was very inviting." We joined that church. I went to pastoral teaching on that Wednesday before my appointment was that Thursday to meet with my OB to tell her about the lump I found. At pastoral teaching that Wednesday, I shared, "Hey, can y'all pray for me? I got a test. I got some tests tomorrow," is what I said. And this lady pulled me to the side and she said, "I know you don't know me." She was like, "But can I ask you what type of tests?" And I was like, "Well, I think I got breast cancer. They're going to test to see if, it's this and that." She said, "I literally just rang the bell last week." She said, "Can I go
Mm.
with you? Can I
Wow.
go with you?" Her name
Wow.
is Melanie. Melanie, I tell her all the time, I speak her name in rooms she never walked in.
Wow.
Melanie was God sent to me to support
Mhm.
me, to lift me, to encourage me. And she
Incredible.
carried me through my journey. And then when I rang the bell, I found for the rest of us, and she kind of like not passed me off, but she was like, "There go more people who can help you and continue to go on." Melanie is still in my life. We're actually doing a program on October 21st at the church to give back to the community, to all these small Baptist churches here in the area, and teaching them about breast cancer advocacy, learning how to do self breast exam, the statistics, and just, knowing your body so that you can recognize when something is wrong. Because all three of us that are speaking found our lumps. So
Wow.
God is
Wow.
good. God has got me through. God is keeping me through. God has brought me through so much. I give all thanks and all praise to him and the people that he has put in our lives, because we live where I have no family.
Mhm.
It was my daughter and myself. She's away at college now. And so for me to be completely supported and covered by these people who I either met through church or work or just out and about, and when they heard that I had cancer, they taught my daughter how to drive. They brought groceries. They brought
Wow.
food. They offered to go with me to appointments, took my car to get an oil change, things like that, gave me gift cards. And these are people who literally met me weeks before my diagnosis. So God is
Yes.
good. God is awesome.
Yes. The power of faith and the power of community. It's so,
Yes.
so, so amazing. Keneene, we really appreciate you sharing your story today and sharing about the work you do at Living Beyond Breast Cancer and all the other things you're involved in. And really just for your spirit and your authenticity. And, we wish you many, 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 many years, right? We wish you that cancer will be cured in our lifetime. That's my
Amen.
hope. That's my
Amen.
hope. So continue the good work the Lord has put you here to do. And I say this to survivors all the time because someone said it to me. When I meet people like you, I say this all the time. And it's that when we're in a remission, we have just been remissioned. And it
Come on
wasn't,
with a
yes,
word. Come
yep,
on.
remissioned. And someone spoke that into me, 2 years ago, and I've not forgotten it. Like I have to look at it a different way because remission almost feel like
Gotta change
you're
it.
waiting for something to happen again. No, you've been
Mm-mm.
sent a new mission, and especially if you're a person of faith, you've been remissioned.
Amen.
Yep,
Amen. I talk about changing your mindset of how you view this. You can view this as this disease has taken me, or you can view this as I'm about to take this disease and do
that's
what I
right.
got to do.
That's
I
right.
refuse to let cancer beat me and to take me, because I fought too hard to be here. And look at how I never expected to see 44, and I turned 44 in May. I'm still in my
Yeah.
birthday season right now. I'm celebrating every day that I get to be here.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
completely love your message. I will be giving you accolades as I tell other people what you just
Yes.
shared with me. I thank you for having me and for recognizing me making Cancer Health Top 25.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yes. You're so well deserved as an honoree. And I know the magazines are coming out, so I hope it gives you some more play and some more platforms. We certainly enjoyed having you on this platform. All right,
Yes.
for those of you in the feed and for those of you in the replay, you can still ask questions even after the show. And thank you for watching. And we will see you guys next Monday. Take care. And
Yes.
can you just stay 1 second
Yes,
before you
ma'am.
go? All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everybody.